So automotive enthusiasm is about the details, and who better to talk about the details of the BMW M3 and M4 than the technical head of M, Albert Biermann. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
the awkward handshake out of the way. And you've been at M quite a while, so you've seen every generation of M3 and now M4 progress, according also the other cars, but we're talking specifically about
I've been working for BMW for 31 years. I got to know all the M3 generations. Yeah.
And you can really see the technical progression over the years from the first car up until now. So let's run through real quickly what were the technical highlights of each of the M3 generations.
I mean, the first generation, the highlight was the high revving four-cylinder engine with the four-piston cylinder head design, very powerful engine, and matching very nicely into the overall vehicle concept. So putting a, relatively speaking, small engine into the car, having a very good balance, very good weight distribution, and so the overall package worked out very nice. So we, and the first M3 got improved aerodynamics, so we had that wing on the trunk lid. So the C-pillar design was different from the regular 3 Series, the wide fenders, the wide track widths.
Yeah.
So it was really a very well handling, very well balanced car, giving excellent feedback.
Yeah.
So all the kinematics were different on the front axle, a little bit also on the rear axle.
Well, that was the very definition of a homologation car. That was built for the racing rules, right? I mean, that's how that...
The target was to have a very competitive race car in the Group A touring car racing at that time. And you needed 5,000 vehicles with some stuff that was really then based on a road car. So you needed 5,000 road cars, for example, when it comes to the shape, geometry of the body in white. So you needed the wide fenders on the road car when you wanted to drive them on the race car.
Yeah.
So this was a very good move then. And the road car gave a very good basis for the race car. So I think still today it's the most successful race touring car of all times.
Indeed it is. Then we move on, so that was the E30, then the E36 came out. What were the highlights of that?
The E36 was not so much famous for its exterior bodywork because it didn't have the wide fenders. But it was then the move going from a 4-cylinder engine to an inline 6. And already the first generation 3-liter inline 6 already was a blast with the enthusiasts. So everybody loved the inline 6 engine, high revving, very responsive, and also there was a lot of job done on the suspension of the car. So it was also very well balanced, the car, the E36 M3. And later on, then within the E36 run, then there was an increasing of displacement. So from a 3-liter we went to a 3.2-liter engine, even more powerful. So, and that really was a blast.
Now, was that the first car with Vanos?
Yeah, there was Vanos involved on the high-pressure Vanos system and cranking even more mid-range power, better response, more powerful at low engine speed out of the engine.
And the more torque at low engine speeds is going to become much more important as we start talking about this car here. So the newest car. But let's just go quickly through the E46, which kept the inline 6, but a couple of other things also. What was the...
Yeah, the E46 was a more radical M3, so to say. Yeah. So getting back to wider fenders, you know, and more changes to the engine. So still inline 6, but revving even higher. So then coming up with the fancy E46 CSL with carbon fiber roof. So coming up with a sequential M gearbox. So taking technology out of racing again. So shifting, so to say, by wire on the steering wheel.
Right.
And then still improving the M compound brakes. Coming up with a new generation of limited slip differential. So there was always an improvement in technology, changing to new technology when it came to different limited slip differential, and so that was a very beloved car, and still today a lot of enthusiasts like the E46 M3 a lot.
Yeah, it always comes up in conversation as one of those cars that it was just a moment in time it just everything came together, and it was just a fantastic
And we
car.
set it up pretty much stiff. At that time, I was in charge of suspension at BMW M. And yeah, when we did the ride and drives, there were some folks saying, it's too stiff, you know. But we loved it the way it was. So, and it was a very good handling car.
Yeah. Okay, so then it's the V8 years coming up. The E92. What were the other than? I mean, let's talk about the engine specifically, and then maybe a couple of the other things that you remember.
Yeah, the fourth generation M3, that was clear then the step from inline six to a V8 engine. Complete new V8 engine, revving above 8,000 RPM. So that was really then the blast. But not only bringing the engine to a complete new level, but also the changes to the vehicle. So almost touching every part of the suspension, increasing the precision of driving a lot on the E92 M3. That was also a very big story. And then shortly after the launch of the car, coming up with M double clutch transmission.
Right.
So the first double clutch transmission in the high performance segment. So that was a very strong achievement of the fourth generation M3.
Yeah. And people still know that car for the throttle response and the revving. You know, it was a real high revving engine. A lot of the power came at the end. It was really one of those cars that just built and built and built, and the power built as you went along. Anything else about that engine that you remember? I mean, because it had a racing pedigree, right? It was.
Oh yeah, it was a very successful race car here in the US, in the American Le Mans series. But also in other racing. So it was a very good basis for racing. And when we made the special M3 GTS, then we went to 4.4 liter.
Right.
So that engine was more powerful in the mid-range, still revving up high. And that engine, the 4.4, went into the Z4 race car that still races today in the USCC.
Yeah.
So that was then the peak of performance, so to say, in the V8.
Yeah, and it another thing that car did is it sort of set an example of what people came to think of what M stood for at that moment, right? So now here we are at the, F80 and F82. So now we've got M3 and now M4. We've taken the coupe, given it its own number, and the sedan is still the M3.
The philosophy of an M3 really never changed over the years. The philosophy of an M3 was always to provide a very good daily driver for your daily commute, and at the same time be able to drive it hard on the track and to enjoy it on the racetrack. A track-capable car. So regarding brakes, cooling, handling, driving performance, a very emotional, enjoyable drive. So, and not only providing the experience in driving similar to a race car, but also employing race car technology, race car concepts into a daily driving car, and that you could enjoy race car technology, race car concepts every day, and not just on a weekend in a very expensive race car, so to say. That was all the concept, to bring this onto the road for every day. And that is still the philosophy of the new M3 and the new M4. And we went back a little bit, so to say, in time, going back into inline six, which was a great engine all the time. But we also looked a lot at the first generation E3, what made that car so great, so successful, and it was the balance. And this is what every M car, and especially the M3, stand for. They have a very good balance. The overall concept, how everything works together, the body in white with suspension, with the engine, with the transmission, so drivetrain, tires, everything, how all these different components work together and provide a driving character that you can really appreciate as an active driver.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it, pushing it to the limit, work with your car, work with yourself, to bring this combination of man and machine to a very good level and enjoyable level. And this is what M cars stand for. So they are for drivers, and they want to enjoy everyday driving, and once in a while push a car, bring it to the limit, and drive it safe back home. And with the new M3 and the M4, we said we have to have an engine that can have much less in fuel consumption.
Right.
But at the same time, we want to keep this emotional, very responsive, agile character. So we came up then, like we did already in the M5 and the M6, with an engine following our high revving turbo engine concept. So the TwinPower turbo concept is about high revving turbo, which some people at a first glance might not see the sense of it. But if you drive the new M3 and the M4, they drive up to 7,600 RPM, and they love to rev there. Many of the so-called modern and high-performance turbos, when you rev them above 6,000 RPM, they are running out of talent. You don't want to rev up anymore. You rather shift.
Yeah.
And that's not the situation on the new M3, M4. They love to run up to 6,000 RPM. But you don't need to. You have a lot of power available already in the mid-range. At the maximum torque, we provide already at 1,800 RPM.
To put so much torque down at the 1,800 level is something kind of new for M drivers. So tell me the difference. So tell me a little bit about the interplay between what you guys call TwinPower, where you have you've got the cam phasing and you've got the turbos, and you've got a little bit longer stroke, I guess. Give me the sort of package of how the engine came together.
Yeah, I mean, the key is that you provide everything for a responsive turbocharged engine. So you have to de-throttle all the lining that go out of the combustion chamber into the turbo, out of the turbo into the combustion chamber. So the de-throttling of the whole airflow, that is one key aspect.
So when you say de-throttling, you mean get that air through there as
big diameters,
much of it,
so that life is easy for the turbo to speed up, to provide the pressure. That is key. And then we have our famous Valvetronic, the BMW Valvetronic system, where you can control very tight and very responsive the throttle response.
So that, basically you're adjusting valve lift rather than going through a throttle plate.
Right.
That's how that works.
Yeah, and together with Valvetronic and direct injections, especially when you drive the car around the track here in Sport Plus mode, we do a lot of fancy stuff to keep the turbos busy. So during shift in Sport Plus and S3, you don't lose nothing. You just go like boom, boom, like really on the race car. There's no comfort functionality in there anymore. It's just the sheer power, the sheer performance that we provide for driving on the track. While in the city, when you go in the efficient setting, it's very smooth, easy, so not annoying, and that range in character from being a smooth and very compliant car in the city and being a monster on the track and a really fast track car performing on a club sport level. That is, I think, what makes this M3 generation, the fifth generation, the best M3, because we never had such a wide range of character. So there is this nice, very well behaving car for your commute, and then you take it out here and it's so fast, and you can take it really hard, and it's easy for the new M3, M4 to drive on the track.
So you reject the notion that there's a new philosophy?
No, that has always been the story of the M3, of every single generation. And the key is the balance, the way you can control the car. And although it's a very powerful turbo engine with our M-Active differential that we integrated in our integrated chassis management, which operates very fast and very precise, and then with this very responsive engine. This is a turbo engine. But if you run it here in the right setting for the track, I don't know how many naturally aspirated engines you would find that are so responsive to your throttle input than these turbo engines. So, and this together makes it very enjoyable. You have the same driving style like with our naturally aspirated engines. You don't need to calculate with any turbo lag when you want to master that corner. You drive like you did with the first, second, third or fourth generation M3. It's just an enjoyable balance, and it's fun to master the limit. You know,
Right.
the car talks to you. It's very predictable, and yeah, you do your best to work on the level that the car can provide. You
Right.
know?
So, other than the engine, not to take up all of your time today, but what are, if you had to pick a couple of other things that were the highlights, technically, of this car, what would you pick?
I mean, taking the weight out of the car was a big job. So we have so many areas where we took weight out. It would take a long, long time to go in detail on this. But one example is our carbon fiber drive shaft, for example. It's a very stiff carbon fiber tube, one piece, no center bearing. So just one piece of art, so to say. And we did this in-house within BMW. You can't buy that anywhere. So, and that takes 5 kilograms of weight out of the car, but out of the rotating mass. So we took weight out of the crankshaft.
So it's not only where you take the weight, no, it's not only that you take weight out, it's where you take it out. Rotating weight is something you want to reduce.
Yeah, we focused a lot on rotating weight, like with the drive shaft, the crankcase, light pistons, you know. Then we reduced the weight of the wheels. We have the hollow drive shafts going to the wheels. And the flywheel, the weight of the flywheel we could take down. The manual gearbox, we could take 12 kilograms of weight just out of the manual gearbox. So, and the other focus of reducing the weight was to reduce the weight in the front of the car. To have a very good weight distribution, talking balance, you know. So then we exchanged the engine hood, the front engine hood. So we made one out of aluminum. So taking more than 7 kilograms of weight out of the front. The front fenders are from aluminum.
Yeah.
So the front axle carrier is a complete new design from aluminum, taking 5 kilograms out. And then our electromechanical steering system. First time at M, electromechanical steering.
Yeah.
It has a 3.5 kilogram less in weight than the hydraulic system of the predecessor.
Now that's an important thing to talk about too, because other than the engine, I think the thing that people are always concerned about is electronic steering. So, can you tell me a little bit quickly? About some of the challenges of delivering a sort of tactile response with electronic steering in the past.
Yeah, this is another example where philosophy counts, and you have to bring the right technology to meet your philosophy. So, and we said before when we did the M5 and the M6, we said what we can see right now regarding technology, we are not ready to go electric steering. But now, being a few more years down the road, looking at where technology is going, we said, okay, for the next M3 we can go EPS, electromechanical steering.
Right.
And we claimed very early, because there was a lot of discussion in all the media that some new cars coming out, the electric steering would not perform on a level like the hydraulic system.
Right.
And we made a clear statement, this is not going to happen on the M3.
Right.
So we will provide the best electromechanical steering money can buy.
What was the problem before was that the inertia from the electric motor was kind of filtering out some of the responses. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah. The steering box that we have in the M3, M4 is a completely new design. Has nothing to do with any other steering in any other BMW. So the housing, the rack and pinion, the motor, the recirculating ball system, the balls in there, it's the best quality ball you can get.
Yeah.
The grooves where the balls are running through, they're specially machined to our requirements.
Yeah.
The setup of the friction and the spring loading system in the rack and pinion, it's all specifically tuned for our cars, and we spent years on that. And we more or less built the whole car around the steering, which is what you typically do if you want to have that nice feedback, that good steering response. So, and all the structural improvements that we did on the new car.
Right.
When you have this high grip level tires on the car, the Michelin's a 19-inch, for example, and if you want to perform on club sport level when it comes to lap times, you have to think about all other aspects of the car. So we have excellent body in whites at BMW. So, and only having those as a basis, you can afford attaching a rear axle carrier directly to the body in white without using these 4 big rubber bushings. So I don't know how many cars, how many floor pans would really survive that procedure.
So-
but on a BMW, you can do that.
Yeah. Take out weight, add rigidity, great engine, great drivetrain, and great steering, and that's the formula.
Yeah, but it's basically almost every piece, every component of the car really counts.
Yeah.
You know, even the seat, the steering wheel, it all has to match the concept, our philosophy. So, and I keep saying our testing engineers who do all the applications of the suspension parts, you know, they are like the conductors in an orchestra, you know. And so we have tires and springs and roll bars, those are violins and drums and trumpets, you know.
Right.
And our engineers, they are the conductors, and they conduct these instruments, and they play in the orchestra hall, which is the body in white. And this is where BMW has the biggest benefit. We have the best body in whites, you know. This car here, they have a torsional stiffness on a level almost than those race cars back there. It's damn close to that race car, the stiffness of the car, without the roll cage in it, you know. And so, I mean, that is the achievement of having a good BMW basis, and then you improve that. On that high level of a BMW, you start bringing this to club sport level then for a car just coming out of the showroom.
Yeah.
Bring it here, and you just go, and you drive lap times you could not believe.
And that's what Emma's about, right?
That's what it is all about.
Albert Biermann, thanks again for talking about that. I'm sure people who are into M's and into the M3 in the past probably will not be disappointed with this car, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Great, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.